The 15-time NASCAR most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., trades in his helmet for a microphone as he joins the Big Boys NBCSN team for the Monster Energy Cup Series race from Chicagoland Speedway, Sunday, 2:30 Eastern on NBC. Fresh haircut, new dad, looking clean, ready to go.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be back here, man.
How would you do as a taxi driver?
You know,
in New York City.
I was just thinking about that. It would be an adjustment, you know, because it seems like that people change lanes here a lot without looking.
But don't they do that in NASCAR?
Yeah. You know, it's just there's like this, I don't know, you just know where everything is without looking where it is, you know? And you do that on the racetrack, but I was watching people driving in from the airport and they're just changing lanes and not really taking a look around as far as if they're clear or not. And they don't have spotters like we do. So I think it'd be pretty tough, but I think I could adjust to it.
Who would you want to be in the taxi with if you could have somebody drive you?
If I could pick who could drive me?
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's driven in New York City. Any of the taxi drivers in New York City.
Oh, no, I'm talking about NASCAR driver.
Yeah, I know. I would rather have the New York City taxi driver. Yeah. I'd be more confident in them because they're used to the environment. Jimmy. You know, Jimmy's got, had a place in New York City, so he knows the town a little bit, knows where he's going.
Jeff Gordon had a place in New York as well. Yeah.
I enjoy being around Jimmy a little bit more than Jeff.
How come?
I don't know. Jeff's older, and he's kind of like my elder, where Jimmy and me are kind of pals.
But Jeff, to your dad, it'd
be like hanging out with my best friend versus maybe my uncle.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Okay. But the age difference between you and Jeff Gordon is what?
I don't even know. Maybe 4 years.
Oh, well, that's not a lot.
I know, but he got started.
Oh, that's true.
So young.
He was very young.
Seems like he's been around forever.
Okay. When you're walking the streets of New York, what do you get? What do people say to you?
I might get recognized a little bit. Just Junior. Hey, Junior, what's up? Yeah, Junior. I just hear Junior over and over, everywhere.
Well, and New Yorkers don't have time. Like they're not saying, let me stop and I got a story for you.
Yeah. No, there's no stories. It's just you'll hear your name and look around, and a lot of times you don't even see the person. They've already gone into whatever door they were going into, or they just disappear.
Yeah. Junior, and you look back and there's no one there.
Yes.
Yeah. Where can you not go? If I said the worst place for Dale Jr. to go socially.
I mean, if I wanted to, going around the racetrack, and that's obvious. But if you're at the racetrack and you want to go, if there's a concert playing or a band you like or something like that, I mean, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of guys like to ride around in the infields, particularly at tracks like Talladega and so forth, where the party atmosphere in there is legendary. And, you just got to know what you're putting yourself into there and be ready for that mentally. But I don't really get bothered that much by people saying, "Hey, man, good job," or I always liked that interaction, especially when I raced, because it made me feel like what I was doing was valuable. Being a race car driver and doing well on the track, and when people would say, "Hey, man, good job," or "Whoa."
Did you ever have a bad experience with a fan?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's fans that don't like you, and especially, I mean, it's on social media. It happens all the time. If you want to go looking for it, you know where you can find it. But a lot of times at the racetrack when we're riding around during drivers' intros, so we get introduced on this stage, we walk across the stage when they throw us in the back of these trucks and they parade us around the whole racetrack to wave at everybody. There's fans that are not waving. They're doing other things.
Are you getting flipped off?
Yeah, lots of birds. And I just laugh. You just laugh because of the passion. That guy's like, you know what? When he comes by, he's getting the bird.
You've never flipped anybody off, have you?
Yeah, I mean, other racers. You flip off other race car drivers.
One of the Bush brothers, probably.
Pretty much a lot of people, but it's sort of flipping off another driver on the racetrack is kind of a bad deal. I don't know why, but the bird really upsets race car drivers. You can do all kinds of other things.
But don't flip somebody off.
Flip them off. They come see you.
Junior is part of NBC Sports celebrating the 4th season of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and that'll be Contributing in the booth there is a race analyst, and that'll be Chicagoland Speedway this Sunday, July 1st at 2:30 Eastern on NBC. SM. Yeah, you're doing big boy stuff here, out of the car, into the booth, new dad.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on.
I know. I'm right. We wrote a book. So we got a book coming out later this year in October called Racing to the Finish, and about my concussions and retirement and all that. Isla is 2 months old, and every day with her has been amazing. She just started smiling. So, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. So now all I do is try to make her smile. Now that she's doing that, everything's like, smile, smile.
Well, what do you do?
I to be goofy, make noises. She just got to where her eyes are working to where she can track objects and stuff. So we have a lot of noisemakers and it's really not that hard to get her to smile. And but it's become a little bit of a competition between me and Amy, who she smiles at the most, and which is fun for us. That's just been a really, really cool experience. We're already talking about, hopefully trying to expand our family.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 43, and
were you ready for this at a younger age?
Yeah, well, no. No. But who is, those type of things have a way of maturing you super fast and forcing you to change your lifestyle and the way you think. But I really am frustrated with myself that I didn't do this sooner, that I didn't get married sooner, that I didn't have children sooner. I know I had a lot of fun in my 20s and in my 30s, but I realize now how great these experiences are, and frankly, I wish I could have started sooner and enjoyed those at a younger age.
But people will try to tell you what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Like, once you have your baby, this is... And it doesn't matter what they tell you. It doesn't live up to what that experience is. So I could have told you, having had 4 kids, this is what it's going to be like, right? I'm
a brand new father, and I don't even waste my time trying to explain it to my friends who are in the situation where their wives are just now pregnant, or they're thinking about getting married and things like that. I don't even. You can't really prepare somebody for it, because I thought I knew how I was going to be, how I was going to act, and
well, they melt you. Girls will melt you.
I know. And she's not even really we're not really even engaging that much with each other.
Oh, wait till you hear Dad.
Oh man. Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait for those things.
Can you imagine if you were still driving, though? Could you still be driving 30 weeks out of the year away from home?
It makes me, makes me kind of respect the guys that do race and still, and raise kids on the road and juggle all those responsibilities. It would be hard because I'd want to be with her, and I wouldn't be able to be with her. I'd have to go to the racetrack and be away from my family, away from my wife. So that would be very challenging to do. Luckily I'm in a situation to where I told NBC, I said, I really like to stay home if I could as much as possible. So they gave me the whole month of May. I literally did nothing, and so it's been
Wait,
great.
Do you have a hobby?
Yeah, like me and Truex own some property where he's a huge deer hunter and I'm into it a little bit, outside of that, I don't think I have many.
Golf?
No. I got a simulator at home, and I just like you guys have in the other studio. I play on that and have a lot of fun, but I'm not going to go play outside and where everybody I've ever played with, it aggravated the hell out of them how bad I was. So I just I remember playing with Steve Letarte one time, and he barked at me louder than he ever did when I drove the race car.
He was madder at you because of golf, not driving?
I picked up a gimme. I hit the pin on the second shot on a par 4, and I missed the shot for birdie, and I went to hit it again, actually, and he was mad that I didn't pick up the gimme. He's like, "That's a gimme. Don't miss this fourth shot. You had a shot at birdie." He was so mad at me.
Can you fix cars?
Yeah. I used to work in a dealership.
Well, you worked didn't you change
oil? That's a big
oil?
Requirement when you have a job at a dealership is to be able to fix cars.
But you changed oil, didn't you?
I did every job. Actually, I started changing oil. I worked on I ended up getting promoted to assistant engine guy. So the head engine guy is this older fella, a lot of experience. And I would, if he got a tranny job or a engine job, I would pull the transmission and pull the motor, and he'd put the new one back in. So I had a lot of jobs around there before I eventually was let go.
Did they know what would your name tag say? Junior?
Dale Jr.
Oh,
Yeah.
But did they know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dad owned the dealership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did they ever ask for autograph when they were changing oil?
No,
nothing like that.
Dad would come around, and he would be there. And I worked there for like 3 or 4 years. My brother was working there as a service writer. He was a mechanic and then got promoted to service writing. And one day, we got a new service manager, and the guy was like, "We're going to stay after, and we're going to have this meeting. I'm going to change the service department and fix it." And I was like, "Well, I'm not staying if we can't stay on the clock." So he said, "Do whatever you think's right." So I went home because he wasn't going to let us stay on the clock. And so I came back the next day, and he goes, "I think you need to take a couple of days off and see if this job really matters to you." And so, long story short, I ended up getting fired from the dealership.
From your dad's dealership.
Yeah. So that was the end of my.
Was Dad okay with you getting fired?
I called. I was broke. I didn't have a lot of money, and it was a 45-minute commute to the dealership and then back. And I called Dad. And I said, "This guy's sending me home to think about my job for a couple of days and see if I'm really serious about it. I don't want to drive all the way home and then you say get your butt back to work." And nobody's going to front the bill on the gas this is going to take. So he said, "No, come on, actually go in there and tell the guy that you're working or not working." And so I went back in there, didn't tell him I called my dad, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to work or I'm not." And he said, "Find somebody to help you load your toolbox up. You're out of here." So that was the end of that job.
Okay, but were you driving competitively?
No, I wasn't. I just graduated high school or college. I got an automotive degree at a technical school near home, and so I'd only been out of school for a couple.
Well, what if they had kept you employed and actually, gave you a promotion, like assistant manager? Would you have delayed your driving career?
Hopefully not. I mean, the racing was happening. I was starting to late model race.
You see, this is better for the story. If
yeah.
you get fired, and because of that, I decided to become a race car driver.
Well, I ended up getting fired and drove home. And Dad was surprised. He was like, "I can't believe that guy fired you. He really fired you?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Wow. Okay, well, I'll put you to work working on your sister's late model." My sister raced, and I said, "That's awesome." And I got a raise. I was making about $180 at the dealership. I ended up starting at Dad's place around $300 a week.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
You're killing it.
I know, and I live right across the street. So I'm working on race cars. It was a great move for me.
See, that's the next book. Take Your Tools and Go Home, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. story. That's really what it should have been.
You're right.
You talk about the concussions in the book. The book is going to be released October 16th. It's Racing to the Finish, My Story. And I didn't realize that a lot of the book has to do with the number of concussions, how it affected you. You had a scary moment a couple of years ago here.
Yeah, there was I couldn't really talk about all this while I was still racing. There was a lot of reasons for that. And so I'm now I feel a little liberated to be able to tell the story. When I was racing, I didn't want to spend my final season trying to tell everybody this story and explain all the concussions and why I'm retiring. And I just wanted to enjoy one last year and not let it be dominated by headlines of concussions and things I had, maybe hid from people and not been, not shared with people openly. So finally, once I got out of the car, I'm like, you know what? I can try to tell this story, and not everybody's going to be real happy with me, but hopefully it helps people understand if they're making the same mistakes that I made. And it also shows a lot of things, man, is people get these injuries and they don't know where to go to get help.
But did you drive when you shouldn't have been driving? That's a yes.
I should have. There were times when I got hurt that I didn't seek help, and I should have. I can say that for sure.
What was it like to drive with a concussion?
Well, I would drive.
Or symptoms.
I wouldn't drive with symptoms. And you'll read in the book, like the symptoms would clear up by Thursday, and I'd go, okay, I'm good. I'm okay. And I think that's the common, theme for most guys, or the common reaction to most guys is like, I feel good. It's gone. It's over. I'm over it. And the problem that is the issue for me was that I would continue to get hurt. in crashes that I shouldn't be getting hurt in. I would bump into guys and hit walls very lightly or not in accidents that look very bad, and I would get injured and I would feel terrible. For 48, 72 hours after the race, I would have symptoms. And I would hope they would go away, and they would, and I'd go back and race. And I would finish great the next week. We'd run in a top 5. We'd have a great weekend. But then 4 or 5, whatever, 2 months later, I'd crash again and get sick again. And I basically was just layering.
Did you get nauseous?
I had some nausea. My symptoms would be all over the board. There's different compartments in the brain that are affecting each other, and they all work together. And when one's down, they all kind of go down, and you'd have different types of symptoms, whether they be balance or nausea or optical or whatever. So
it's powerful stuff.
The book is going to explain so much. The book's going to help people, but also a lot of people that are like, man, why'd you retire so soon? Why did you retire? This is going to spell all that out and hopefully give a lot of people some answers.
Dale Jr., he'll be in the booth coming up this weekend, Chicagoland Speedway. Did we ever tell you the story when first time I went to Chicagoland? And Jimmy Johnson, I was talking to Jimmy Johnson prior to the race, right before the race. I lean on his spoiler.
Oh.
I'm just casually, and Chad Knaus looks at me, he wants to kill me.
Right.
And I'm just chatting with Jimmy. This is seconds before you guys start the race. I'm just leaning on the spoiler there. And you can just see his crew chief is just looking at me like, if you make one move, I'm going to snap you in half. And Jimmy doesn't say anything.
Right.
And then I talked to Jimmy after that, and he knew what I was doing, but he didn't want to say anything.
Sure.
He ended up winning the race.
Hey, so you think you had some effect on his car?
I think maybe he could have gotten disqualified or he lost some points because of me, because I affected the spoiler.
Yeah. Well, that's something. Yeah, a lot of people would come up and casually lean on the spoiler. That's something you probably shouldn't lean on.
Not good.
That's a very important part to cars' aerodynamics.
Not good. By the way, if you had a boy, were we going Dale?
We had a name for a boy real early. That was easy. The name for the girl was hard. I wanted a girl. I was scared to have a boy because he would, I would be impressionable on him, and I was afraid of being a new parent, making a lot of mistakes, and that being something my son would have to deal with.
Were you going Dale?
No.
Oh, you weren't going Dale?
No.
Okay.
But we had names that were in our family that meant something to us, and so we're hanging on to that. If we have a boy, we're ready.
Okay. All right. Chicagoland Speedway coming up this weekend, and also the book is called Racing to the Finish, My Story. Dale Jr. Candidly shares his recent experiences, and it's out October 16th. Have fun this weekend.
Oh, I will.
And it's great seeing you. And our best to Amy and your daughter, and happy for you.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.